Hello again, Lovelies, and welcome back to Mama G Gear. It's Mama G here, and let's do another unconventional tutorial. Yes, very unconventional. And it's kind of a nice way. I think I did get some great feedback from a lot of y'all that said that this is nice because it helps you think, a little differently and how to troubleshoot. All right, so what we're going to make here, or what I'm in the process of making, is one of those, and several of you had also asked if I would do this. So here's for you. This is one of those, that long granny square, the multicolored granny square sweater. If I could find it, I'll drop a picture right now. You can see what I'm talking about. Ooh, excuse me. And I'm using puzzle yarn, which, if you're not familiar, it's a 5-weight. There's 382 yards or 300 meters. All acrylic, 100% acrylic. And this particular beautiful colorway is cryptic. I still have so much puzzle yarn from way back when. I love this. I like puzzle yarn crazy, but now I just want to get rid of it, to be honest with you. Use it up, use it up. I'm trying to use up as much yarn as I can. I just can't crochet fast enough. All right, first, disclaimer here. I'm going to show you some of the design ideas that I've come up with. I am not claiming by any sense of the term that I invented this, okay? I'm sure that other people have had this idea and had done it, but I will say that I've not watched or wasn't from another video that I got these ideas. These are just ideas that I came up in my head on my own, but other people I'm sure have done that in the past. So, I just feel if I do get the idea from somebody, I'm going to give them credit because I think it's important to give credit where credit is due. And this, there's no one to credit because I didn't follow anybody else's idea. All right, just bringing that out there, making it clear. Okay, so basically what we're doing here, I got my measuring tape. I did measure the size of my squares. You don't need to see this. I'm using this because the tripod, I shouldn't even be telling you this. I can't get my little finger in there with the skin to get it to hit, to go on or whatever. So I'm using the stylus that Rusty gave me. I think Rusty gave this to me. But anyway, thank you, Rusty, or whomever gave that to me. It works. Okay, so here's my 2 squares. Unfortunately, the tripod won't go high enough to show all of this to you. I will figure out a better way on how to do this for the future, perhaps, but no promises. My width, I want this to be wider on me than the other one. So the width on this was 24 inches, or I think it was 61 meters. 24 without pulling it. It's 24 inches, and yes, that equals, I think that's 61 meters. I want this wider. I won't get into why. All right. You want 2 of the same size. How you're going to judge, this is why it's unconventional, because it's not so many stitches or so many rows. It has to do with you, who it's for, and their circumference of the trunk and the comfort, the bagginess or tightness that they want it. Okay, so all of those factors, those variables factor in on how big your squares are going to be. All right, so we got the 2 squares, and then and I leave these on. Each one of these squares was 1 ball of yarn plus this little bit that's left that I'm going to leave attached because I'm going to use this to sew the sides up. Why cut it and then have to tuck it in later? I'm just going to hold on to it, use it, and then worry about it. All right, so here comes the fun part. Wow, you didn't even see that, but it just bothered me. It was a little hair on there, probably mine. I kind of jotted this down. I'm going to pull the camera down a little bit. Just close your eyes because I don't have a zoom thing. I don't know how to do that yet. Just close your eyes for a hot sec while I adjust the whole arm of this, just so it's a little bit closer. I hope that's better to read. Please disregard the handwriting or the drawing. This is not, it's not an art exhibit. It's just jotted down ideas. There's a couple different ways you can do the sleeves, and also a couple different ways you can do it to change the design of the sweater, the pullover. This particular one here is what that multicolored sweater is. It's the two squares that I seamed up the sides, always putting your good side facing in, seam on the what's going to be the inside of your project. But I seamed up both sides all the way to the top. I did, however, on the bottom, leave, and again, this is going to be up to you whether you want to do it or how high you do want to do it. I left maybe I don't know, 2-3 inches of a slit on the bottom so that it just has a nice looser drape to it on the very bottom. So it's not like hugging on your hips. If I had hips, it would hug them. I don't have any hips, but some of you might have hips. So that's just another thought. But this one here that I'm explaining now, and the one that I showed you, goes all the way to the top and on both sides. And then at that point, I grabbed another skein of yarn, tied it to this corner, and then went outwards to the end of the sleeve. And I believe you want to make it be a multiple of 3, and I just set myself up for a huge fall because I don't know my 3 times tables. I think 45. If I'm wrong, please don't be upset. I just don't do math. I think it was 45, whatever around there that was a multiple of 3. That's how many chains I did. And I made my chains a little loose. Oh, I didn't tell you what hook I used. Hold on one second. Let me grab my hook. Alrighty, so I'm back. I did for this project, I used my Furls Rainbow hook, the L hook, which is a 7mm. I don't change hooks to change the tension in my projects, only because what I change is the tension that I hold the yarn or the tension that I make the stitch. So it's the same as changing, if you have a consistent tension, then you change your hook size. It serves the same purpose. It's just, 12 of these and 6 of these and half a dozen of the other. Is that how that works? But anyway, so I'm going to be careful with this because my Sparkle Rainbow Pride one rolled off and broke, and they don't make them anymore. So that hurts my feelings still. All right, back to the important part. So then you take that, you do your stitches. Like I said, I think it was 45 stitches. I put a stitch marker in that last stitch and just leave the ball of yarn there. I'll get back to it. That's going to be for the other side because you're going to start on one side and then you're going to go back and do the other side as these are attached. Then I go to the other side, tie my another ball of yarn to it, go out that direction. I mean, there's other ways to do this, just showing you this idea. You come up with your own stuff, but I'm sure there's an easier way, but still. Go out to the sleeve, the same amount of stitches, and then if you're doing a multiple of 3, because you got to remember now that last 3 that you did the multiple of is going to be your first double crochet in the first cluster. So when you're measuring the length that you want this and how many multiples of 3 for the length to go down to your wrist or wherever you want it to go, do consider that those last 3 stitches are going to be the first of your first double crochet. So there's that to factor in. All right, so you're going to go out to that point, and then then come back around, go into your third chain. I don't know, do you chain one? If you want to chain one, I think you know what? If you're off a stitch, just fudge it. You know how to do that. And then you're going to come back around, work your way. Just make sure that both sides are fairly even. But again, when you get to the other end, if you have an extra stitch, just hop over one. Do your granny stitches all the way here and then continue on to the front top or the working side, working panel, and then all the way to the other end, and then continue on to the other wrist of the other sleeve, you know, turn your work, go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You want to make this dimension from where you have the top to the top of where you're going to end off be the distance that's going to be a join from doing the both sides that's going to rest on the top of your shoulders. So either you try it on or measure it, whatever, but that's where you want to have it be that height, okay? And then get that side done. Again, I often I don't cut my work. I just put a stitch marker and leave the yarn attached because you're going to use that to stitch up the top part, you know, on one side. You know, if it works out where the balls end up on the opposite sides, you just continue and sew the top, less ends to weave in. Always a good thing, always a good thing. So then you do the same thing on the other side where you're going to have it here, then you're just going to start on the back side, do your grannies all the way across, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If you want on these, another thought, and I did that in this one I did, where I made the back of the sweater like a one row higher because it just falls better. It hits the nape of your neck a little, or the back of your neck a little bit nicer. And I can't for the life of me think of what color yarn I use to visualize that sweater that I'm talking about. Well, whatever. Maybe I'll think about it if I do. If I have a picture, I'll drop it. All right. So that's this. So this design here is going to give you a longer length. It's going to hang longer down, you know, like I said, it goes below my buttocks on me. All right. If I had a buttocks, it would go lower than that. All right. So this is the same concept. And this is the one that I know I did this, but I'm having a hard time. I can't remember the yarn. I can't remember exactly what I did on this one. So I can't speak too certain about how I did this one because it's vague. Because mind is a terrible thing. Anyway, what the difference is on this one, which is going to make it a shorter length, is instead of stitching the side all the way to the top, like we did on the first one, we're going to go a little lower and leave a little bit up here to go into the sleeve. Okay, and then you're going to start your sleeve a little lower on this. I think, yeah, see, I apologize profusely here because I'm just pulling a blank because I don't remember if I went straight out and back and then to this point and then across and then down the other side or not. Or did I think I might, okay, never mind. Let's just explain this other concept to you. All right, so another thing you can do, like these are both squares, but if you go to the top and then continue going back and forth on your top, that will give you a rectangle. So this part would be more of a rectangle, okay? Well, actually, well, no, that's not going to be it. This is going to be more of a rectangle because we're going back and forth here, okay? Yeah, let's just talk about that. And when you're putting your pieces together, now this is going to be taller, and then you're going to add your sleeves. You can add your sleeves in two different ways, or many different ways, but two that I can tell you is just connect it and then leave whatever the slot is, stitch it up to that point, to the underarm of your sleeve, and then go back and forth. Or you can go around and do it in rounds. Okay, if you do it in a round, you are, to me it appears, that it would be more easy to increase or decrease. So if you wanted to put a flare at the end of the sleeve, you can increase by adding perhaps somewhere near the end there, add another granny cluster, which would give it width. Also, at the end of the sleeve, if you put a stitch around the end, that's also going to flare it out a little bit. So there's that to consider. But if you wanted to I mean, depending on the stitch. Okay, if you want it to flare, you can make it flare. Also, you can put a stitch around and crimp it and make it tighter. I hope you guys know. If you have questions, just, write them in the comments or email me or figure it out. or scream at me like right now, explaining to me what the errors in my way here. But I think that's the one I did where I went around and long that way. But that's another way. And then what I think I'm going to do with this one, I made this a little wider than would fit my body. I was actually going to make this for somebody. I don't know if I'm going to get it done in time when I see the person. So I might just, they're not expecting it, so they're not going to miss it. It was just a kind thought on my part, and I thought it'd be do something nice, but I don't think I'll have this done. But I think what I'll do on this one is attach the squares and have this be the top and then the neck. And then just add sleeves on either side. Okay, so I'm going to add sleeves, whether I go back and forth or in the round. I haven't decided, but I think I'm going to make this be the top. So this is going to be a shorter sweater. It's going to be more like a crop top. I apologize for Scruffy in the background. She knows you're not supposed to bark, so she's doing kind of like a half bark. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing there on that one. And I'm just looking at my notes. Yeah, as long as you make your two panels where it's going to fit to the desired comfort level for yourself, that's the most important thing. And then, you finagle the arms in it. But I hope that's helpful. And there again, I don't know if I mentioned that, but when you're leaving your opening for your neck, you could, if you want, you can put some stitches around there just to clean it up, or you can add to where it's maybe a cowl neck or a turtleneck, or you can even add a hood to it. So you could do something, in that manner once you have that opening for the neck area. All right, I hope that was. Could you get any more unconventional than that? Because I just was flipping all over my words and not knowing what I was talking about. This is what you get when you don't script your videos. Anyway, I love you guys. Have a yarnalicious day, and don't forget your thumbs, even if it's a thumb down at this point. If you like what you see, please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And I love you, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye for now.